All right, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited about these segments we're doing where we're doing these film analysis slash movie reviews. And I love that I'm going in blind on them. I'm not seeing trailers. I don't really see any kind of, tidbits online. I just go in like what is happening. And this week we're doing Companion, which was suggested by Katie Presto, regular guest on the show. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
And of course we have Reece Taylor, our local film philosopher, and me, the guy who runs the show. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys the log line for Companion. You ready?
Go for it.
A weekend getaway with friends at a remote cabin turns into chaos after it's revealed that one of the guests is a robot companion. Okay, so I'm so glad I didn't look at the log line before I watched the movie.
You should be glad you didn't watch the trailer too, because if you wanted to be surprised, then there was no way if you had done either of those things.
This is complete spoilers. So I go into this thing and I'm watching let me get her name right. I'm going to get the actor's name right. So Sophie Thatcher, who plays the girlfriend Iris. And I'm like, she looks familiar. She looks like that girl from Prospect, which was a movie that came out forever ago. And I loved it because it was so good. And she was so awesome in it. And it's her. She's all grown up. And she's also been in the show Yellow Jackets, which is super intense. So like she can bring the goods, right? So I'm so excited to see her in a feature film since it's been so long. Now, that being said, she's walking around and I'm like, what is wrong with this girl? Because she's walking almost like a penguin and just acting slightly off. And I'm like, is she drugged? What is happening? And then there's like spoilers, guys. This whole thing is spoilers, but the logline. She's a robot, and I'm like, oh, okay. So this is all actor choices. It all makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I love this film. All right, give me your thoughts, guys.
Go ahead, Malcolm.
You know, I want you to go first because you're the one who suggested it to us.
Sure.
And honestly, I'd rather have your. Go ahead.
I watched the trailer, so I knew going in what was going on, and then I kind of forgot that that's what I knew. So I watched it, and then it was kind of slowly coming back to me as I was figuring out, oh yeah, that's right, that's why I wanted to see this film. I was still surprised by a couple of things, but not many things. It was pretty predictable, but it was a really fun film, and I enjoyed Sophie Thatcher. I have seen her in the newest movie, I think would be Heretic with Hugh Grant.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out how I knew her, and then I remembered her from that, and she's just knocking it out of the park lately. And somebody compared her trajectory to Anya Taylor-Joy.
That makes sense.
I could see her being like a Jodie Foster. I could see her turning into a powerhouse,
Definitely,
for the rest of her career.
Keep an eye on Reagan.
And to the fact of when you think of Heretic, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't recognize her at all. And not just because her hair was a different color or whatnot. She felt like a different character.
Yes.
And so I think it was so good.
That's a sign of a great actress. Yeah. And the other thing that I enjoyed about the film was the relationships. So for some reason, we seem to be settled on this theme right now of abusive relationships. I don't know how that happened, but
I want to go further into that, by the way.
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
We will.
Absolutely.
And the other thing I got something out of was that feeling that you get when you're going to meet the friends for the first time and you don't feel accepted at all. And you kind of feel you're an alien or something. Or a robot. Even though she is a robot, I was just like, oh, I feel you, girl.
That's awesome. Reece, what do you got?
First off, if y'all have noticed, no hood or anything, so I'm completely out of Darth Lupus mode. So
we've dressed for the part, I understand. Okay.
So
that's great.
Two things popped in my mind when I first started watching the film. First was Westworld, and the second was just had it in my mind a second ago.
Ex Machina?
Oh yeah, probably.
You know, that was one that came up, but there was another one, but it'll probably come back to me soon. But it's amazing how you'll have so many different types of films that have this similar setup, but go in completely different directions. Because when I went into it, I was thinking, okay, this is going to be one of those standard, the AI goes nuts, starts killing people.
Right.
And then it sets up, again, spoilers, that that the robot is actually the protagonist, which is like, okay, let's see where this goes. And again, is it predictable at times? Yeah. But I will say it gives you enough of the story to where you actually want to root for her. And it keeps you invested, which is not something you can say about a lot of films right now.
So let's talk about the predictability. When I go into a movie, I usually try and break them down, right? And I usually go and look for everything. When I sit in a movie and I really get entertained and drawn in, my brain shuts off, which is rare. And that happened this time. I was watching this movie and not breaking it down. So when the reveal comes that she's a robot, I was totally surprised. And then I felt immediately stupid. Like, how did I not realize this lady was a robot? Obviously, she's citing the weather perfectly for no reason at us 72 degrees and mildly and humid. What? So okay. I felt really dumb. But what I appreciated is they saved the reveal for the turn of the act, which I really liked. So you got to know it. And they did it again with the another surprise reveal of a robot. They waited until that was mid-act 2, where you discover that his friend's boyfriend is a robot. And yet again, I was like, I should have seen that coming.
I actually did not see that coming, sadly.
That makes me feel so much better, because I was feeling so stupid.
3 for 3.
Okay. Really, yeah. The only thing I thought was odd about that, I was like, what an interesting pairing. And like, this guy is so Adonis-like, and then
Right.
How could this happen? But it happens,
Yeah, he loves him for his personality. He's fun and friendly. Yeah, exactly. I was doing the same thing. All right, I need to know if anybody in the audience, if they watch this, was surprised as well, because I'm glad it's not just us. But okay, so we have the reveal, and then you start realizing when you step back, like, oh yeah, he walked kind of weird. And then when they were having the conversation, the two robots having the conversation about love, about how much they love their partners during the dinner, right? There's foreshadowing of realizing, like, okay, this is what these two characters are, is their whole purpose is to be in love, which gets us to the theme. And I think, yes, abusive relationships is part of the broader theme, but I think it goes further. So I think what the theme is really exploring is the vulnerability you have when you're in love. Someone can't really hurt you like they can when they're in love, and it goes both ways. Oh, that's
great. Yeah.
So I think that's the theme that was explored. You have, Jack Quaid, who played the boyfriend who's manipulating her, right, and abusing her through his love for her, even though he's an abuser. In his way, he thinks he loves her, right? But then she's taking him out too, right? With this quote we'll get to at the end. But then you also have his friend who he's got some kind of crush on, who's dating the Russian guy, right? So what does their love result in? His death and greed. So I think it's a really interesting subplot that they were working through. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it did a good job of exploring power dynamics in a relationship too. And when you're talking about that dinner scene, if you noticed, Patrick and his boyfriend Eli, they were sort of sharing in that moment together, even though the one knew it wasn't real. And then with Iris, she was sharing a deep feeling, a deep emotion, and almost getting philosophical about it. And he was so checked out.
Yeah, he was overhearing about how much she loved him. Maybe he could have upped her intelligence a little. Because they could set the intelligence, and he set it at 50%, which was a great comedic bit,
Yes.
Which is what I appreciate, is that this is a horror comedy, really suspenseful comedy, which you don't see a lot of in this genre. Reece?
Couple things. One, I don't know why. I don't know if any of these movies actually have seen other movies, but stop dating Jack Quaid in movies because nothing good is ever going to come from it. Look at Scream. What happened with that? Look at this. Or if you go to The Boys, you're going to get run over by a superhero. Like, stop dating Jack Quaid in movies. I think that just needs to be outlawed for your own
He's
sake.
typecast as the boyfriend that things go wrong with. I gotcha.
In all seriousness, though, I'd say one thing that I've noticed with this film was that it's not even just that he was abusing her, it's how he was doing it. If you look at even the control that he put in, he had her at 40% intelligence, not at 100 or anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know anybody who's 100% intelligent, so just throwing that out there. No offense, guys.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't looking for mental stimulation, that's for sure.
Yeah, he just wanted someone to fawn over him.
Yeah.
It's also funny because he kept somebody at a lower intelligence than him, but he was so overconfident to the point of stupidity, so that everything he did failed.
Yeah, in multiple ways. Things that were so obvious.
Smart.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to ask y'all a question, because this is something that I thought was interesting about it. There's this overarching theme of love and how it's represented, but the truest forms of love were from things that were artificial. What were y'all's thoughts on that?
Yeah, I love that idea of, like, are these robots experiencing love in a more pure form than the people are, especially when they talk about the fact that love is pain.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at love is pain from a fact that you have to be completely vulnerable in order to truly love somebody, then it is a really great definition of love, especially if you have true love and understand that all true love ends in tragedy. There's no happy ending.
Yeah.
You know,
and
what do you think?
They didn't have, as robots, they didn't have any other motivation like we as humans do. And no expectation, just there to make that other person happy and feel safe and secure and fulfilled. And that really is very pure. That it's just almost, I don't want to say it's impossible. It's not impossible, but there's so many other things that come into play as a human being that your own self-interest sometimes overrides.
Yeah, there's no vanity there.
Yeah.
There's no selfishness there.
Yeah.
And so that can provide definitely a pure state of love. And I thought it was great. All right, well, I got a quote for you. Are you ready? There were 2 times I felt truly happy. The first day I met Josh, the second day I killed him. What a hell of a way to open a film, right? I mean, I was like, okay, I love that you're telling me where we're going. Now I know where the trajectory is. Now I get to sit back and not worry about the ending because I know what the ending is. I get to just be present in the movie.
Yeah, I read that some people did not appreciate that, but I agree with you. Where is this journey going? I know where it's going to end up, but I would like to see how it gets there.
Exactly. Reece, what do you think?
I was team. I wish they wouldn't have said that, because I kind of felt like something. I mean, you get the feeling that something is up the second it comes through. I mean, the second the film starts. But one thing I do like and how they bookended everything was that the first thing that you see when you're introduced to Iris, a memory that come to find out was one that was implanted in her.
Oranges.
And her final memory that she talks about is the one that she did herself, the actual memory. So I thought that was a fine way to bookend that.
I liked the ending. I like when, like, we talked about Ex Machina. For me, the film ended short. I wanted more. And I felt like with this being with her longer, I felt like, yeah, I'm getting what I need from this before she moves on.
Can I jump on that for a sec?
Yeah.
Specifically with Ex Machina, you know what it was based off of, right?
iRobot? I have no idea.
Bluebeard.
The supercomputer?
No, Bluebeard is the fairy tale.
Oh, I don't know it. Sorry.
So, like, if there's a disconnect with that, Ex Machina was literally an interpretation of a fairy tale called Bluebeard.
Okay.
It's about a man who kills a bunch of his wives.
Wow.
Yeah.
Then that really works in really well with how they did the Ex Machina story.
Right. So with that one, I'd say if you didn't know the actual fairy tale beforehand, that might be lost in translation.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Going back to the intro where he selects how they meet, I thought it was really cool. Somebody had mentioned that it's kind of like the whole Adam and Eve story. And there's fruit involved, like the forbidden fruit.
Point.
Yeah, and how woman was made for a man, and it explores that theme.
I like that.
With this.
That's really good. I thought Jack Quaid did great as a terrifying character. And the part that threw me off is when he would get really, really angry and they'd do it close with the camera, they'd push in, he looked like his dad.
I thought the same thing, and I did not think that for the longest time. He is a perfect blend of both of his parents, but I thought in The Boys he looked more like his mom. And then all of a sudden, I was like, I see his dad.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Dennis must have been pissed off in the house a few times. Because I am seeing it right here. What's going on behind the scenes in the Quaid home? But yeah. No, I thought it was really good because you're used to him being, Stewie, and seeing him,
Huey, yeah,
Huey,
yeah,
Louie. I just went through all of them. We're good. Pick the right one, guys. We'll move on. All right, so it's and the news. All right, so I
That's
just want to hit.
What I thought of too.
Let's see where we are at. I want to see what we did in the box office. All right. Anybody want to guess the budget? You're not going to get it right. Go ahead.
58 million.
All right, Reece?
I'm going to say 6.
10 million. If we were playing Bryce is Right, Reece would have won. Reece would have been in the Showcase Showdown. All right, so.
Well, to be fair, I kind of cheated on that one because I think about how the film's constructed. And
take the win, bro.
Well, no, just hear me out. Like, here's my thought process on it. When I saw it, I said, okay, single location, limited characters. This is not going to be expensive to make.
Yeah.
All I'm thinking is eggs are $10, so it's got to be way more than
yeah, exactly. Tariffs are a thing now. So, all right. So, budget was 10, and it's been out for 5 days, and it has made 17. Right? It's already doing pretty good. Mm-hmm. So, I would not be surprised if there is a prequel or sequel or some kind of related film with or without her in the future, because it's already made its money back and some in 5 days, which is pretty damn impressive.
Especially this time of year.
Yeah, exactly. So pretty awesome. All right. Any final thoughts on this?
I just want to say a particular scene that I loved was when they did the drop down for Patrick and Eli, and then they switched it to Jack Quaid and him and Patrick. It was hilarious.
I thought it
was just that dancing scene. It was just, oh my gosh, I was cracking up.
I think it's super funny. They hit the comedy beats just right to the point where it kind of reminded me of The Menu, where it wasn't funny in your face, but they were saying like, hey, this is supposed to be the funny bit. This is where you relax.
Like ridiculous.
Yeah. Big funny, things are coming next. Get ready.
Right.
Yeah. And with all of the kind of hoopla around this movie right now, I'm hoping that we're going to start to see a little bit more like horror comedy suspense, because I feel like the genre died off. And we really haven't gotten it a lot. So I'm hoping like this is going to be that spark where we start to see a little bit more.
Oh, and I was going to say too, there was a few things in the film that were, I don't know if you want to call them plot holes, but at any time he could have reprogrammed her because he had her tied up. He could have like put his finger behind her ear, and he didn't have to explain everything to her. And
well, that's his arrogance.
Yeah, exactly.
He had to, like, and because she called it out, like he had to be the smartest guy in the room.
He had to,
literally, because he made sure she was dumb.
Yep.
And so that was him, pontificating and being like, like how master of a plan I am, and then,
not recognizing that there could be recording device, which I saw that coming.
Yeah, that was so great, which just showed like he's really not as smart as he thinks he is. He works in a dead end job or whatever because she's a rental. He can't even afford to own her. But yet he's arrogant. He's arrogant enough to think that he's owed all of this big life, even though he's not. So all right. Do we have like another movie we wanna do this with?
Well, speaking of horror comedy, I mean, we could do Hard Eyes.
I did see a trailer for Hard Eyes, so I won't be going into it blind, but I'm still interested. What do you think, Reece?
Yeah. Why not?
Okay. All right. So the next one up is Hard Eyes. Here we go. Thanks for coming on, guys.